The Kingdom of My Divine Will in the Midst of Creatures. Book of Heaven, Volume 32, Part 11. October 15th, 1933. Divine Mastery and Art. The Little Paradise of God. Maze of Love. Generative Virtue of the Fiat. God, pray to the creature. My abandonment in the Fiat continues. I feel its omnipotent breath, which, breathing over me, wants to make its life grow and expand in me. It wants to fill me so much, to the point of leaving nothing of my human being other than the veil that covers it. So I was thinking to myself, but what does this holy volition get, that it has such great interest in forming its life in the creature, as to move heaven and earth to obtain the intent? And what is the difference that exists between the divine will as life and the divine will as effect? And my always lovable Jesus, clasping me in his arms, with unspeakable goodness, told me, "My blessed daughter, there is nothing more beautiful, more holy, more enjoyable, and that pleases us and glorifies us more than forming the life of our divine volition in the creature. In her is formed a little paradise, into which our Supreme Being delights in descending, to form in it its dwelling. You see, instead of one paradise, we have two, in which we find our harmonies, the beauty that enraptures us, the pure joys that double our happiness, because we have formed one more life of ours in the brief circle of the creature. In this paradise, little as it is, for as much as the creature can be capable of, we find everything. Everything is ours. Or rather, we find the littleness, which enamors us even more, and we admire our divine art, that we, by virtue of our power, have enclosed the great inside the little. We can say that, with our maze of love, we have transmuted things, the great into the little, and the little into the great. Without a divine prodigy of ours, we could form neither our life nor our paradise in the creature. And do you think it is insignificant for us to have one more life of ours, and a doubled paradise at our disposal, to delight us more? You must know that neither the heavens, nor the sun, nor the whole of creation cost us as much, nor have we placed in them so much mastery and art, or so much love, as we placed in forming our life, all of our will, in the creature, in order to form for ourselves one more paradise in which to lord as we best please, and enjoy our delights. The heavens, the sun, the sea, the wind, and everything narrate the one who created them. They point to us. They make us known. They glorify us. But they do not give us a life of ours, nor do they form for us another paradise. Rather, they serve the one, female or male, in whom our paternal goodness took on the commitment of forming our life. And this creature costs us so much that our fiat uses its operating and repeating virtue of its continuous fiat over its fortunate creature, so as to overshadow her with its power, in such a way that a fiat does not wait for another, so much so that if it blows its breath upon her, it says to her, Fiat. If it touches her, it repeats, Fiat. If it embraces her, it uses its operating fiat, and keeps molding her and as though kneading her within its divine life. It can be said, with its breath, it forms its life in the creature, and with its creative virtue, it regenerates her and forms in her its little paradise. And what do we not find in it? It is enough to tell you that we find everything we want, and this is everything for us. See, then, the great difference that exists between the divine will as life and that as effect. As life, all goods, the virtues, the prayer, the love, the sanctity, convert into nature in the creature. They are fonts that form in her, which constantly spring, in such a way that she feels within herself the nature of love, of patience, of sanctity, just as she naturally feels the mind thinking, the eye seeing, the mouth speaking. There is no effort in this, because God gave them to her as her nature, and she feels free to make of them the use that she wants. In the same way, by possessing the divine will as life, everything is holy, everything is sacred. The difficulties end. The inclination to evil no longer exists. And even if she changes her action, and now she does one thing, now another, the unitive virtue of my will unites them together, and they form one single act, with the distinction of many various beauties, for as many acts as she has done. And she reaches the point of feeling that her God is fully her own, to the point of feeling that, in the excess of his love, he gave himself prey to the creature. By virtue of the divine will that she possesses as life, she feels him as a birth from her own womb, and she raises him with such finesse of love and of profound adoration as to remain as though naturally absorbed in her Creator, who is already completely her own. And the fullness of love, the happiness that she feels, is so great that, unable to contain it, she would want to give to all the divine will as life, to render all happy and holy. Not so for one who does not possess it as life, but only as virtue or effect. Everything is hardship, and she feels the good in time and circumstances. The circumstance ceases, and she feels the void of the good, and this void produces inconstancy, mutation of character, tiredness. She feels the unhappiness of the human will. Neither does she enjoy peace, nor can she give peace to anyone. She feels the good within her, as if she felt her members dislocated or partly detached, such that she is not free to make use of them, and has to remain subjected to others in order to be served. Not to live of my will is to make oneself a slave, and to feel all the weight of slavery. Fiat. October 22nd, 1933. Jesus finds his heaven in the creature, his holy mamma, and everyone in the all, and the all in all. The divine will makes itself the revealer, and surrenders its divine being to the creature. I was feeling so very little, to the point of being incapable of taking one step, and having received Holy Communion, I felt the need, as a tiny little one, to take refuge in the arms of Jesus, to say to him, I love you. I love you very much. Incapable of telling him anything else, the little ignorant one that I am. But my sweet Jesus was waiting for me to tell him something else. And I added, Jesus, I love you together with the love of our celestial mamma. And Jesus told me, how sweet, refreshing it is for me to feel myself being loved together with the love of the daughter and of our mamma. I feel her maternal tendernesses, her ardors of love, her chaste embraces, her ardent kisses, such that, as they pour into the daughter, mamma and daughter love me, kiss me, and clasp me in their arms with one single embrace. To find the daughter together with my celestial mamma, wanting to love me and loving me as my mamma loves me, these are my dearest delights, my outpourings of love, and I find the most pleasant requital to the many excesses of my love. But tell me, together with whom else do you want to love me? And he remained silent, waiting for me to tell him with whom else I wished to love him. And I, almost a little embarrassed, added, My divine Jesus, I want to love you together with the Father and the Holy Spirit. But it seemed he was not content yet. And I want to love you together with all the angels and saints. And he, and with whom else? With all the pilgrim souls, and unto the last creature that will exist upon earth. I want to bring you everyone and everything, even the heavens, the sun, the wind, the sea, to love you together with all. And Jesus, all love, such that it seemed he could not contain the flames, added, My daughter, behold my heaven in the creature, the sacrosanct Trinity yielding its love in order to love me together with her. The angels and saints competing in giving out their love so as to love me together with her. This is the great act, to bring all into the all, who is God, and the all into all. Your littleness, your childlike manners in my divine will, embrace everything and everyone. You want to give me everything, up to the very adorable Trinity. And since you are little, no one wants to deny you anything. On the contrary, they unite with you and love together with the tiny little one. And by bringing me all into the all, and by loving me, you diffuse the all into all. My love, being bond of union and of inseparability, I find everything in the soul, my paradise, my works, and everyone. And I can say, I lack nothing, neither heaven, nor my celestial mamma, nor the cortege of the angels and saints. All are with me, and all love me. These are loving stratagems and industries of one who loves me, who calls all, asks for love from all, in order to love me and make me loved by all. After this, I continued to think about the divine volition, and my sweet Jesus added, My blessed daughter, one who possesses my will as life, feels within herself the divine motion. God moves in heaven, and she feels his motion. Our motion is work, is step, is word, is everything. And since our will is one with the will that the creature possesses, she feels, flowing within herself, the very motion with which God moves, and therefore the divine work, step, word. My very will, whatever it does within us, it does in the creature, in such a way that she feels within herself not only the life, but the nobility and the manner of the one who created her. So she does not feel the need to ask for it, because she feels as the possessor of it. Our will occupies her so much as to give her its love in order to make itself loved, its word to let her speak, its motion to let her move and operate. And oh, how easy it is for her to know what it wants from her. There are no secrets, nor curtains, for one who lives in our will, but everything is unveiled. We can say that we cannot hide from her, because our very will already unveils us. Who can hide from oneself, from knowing one's own secrets and what one wants to do? No one. One can hide oneself from others, but from oneself, this is impossible. Such is our will. It makes itself the revealer, and renders the creature aware of what it does, of what it wants to do. And it gives her the great surprises of our divine being. But who can tell you where the creature can reach, and what she can do by possessing our will as life? There takes place the true transformation and consummation of the creature in God. And God takes on the active role and says, Everything is mine in this creature, and I do everything in her. It is the true divine nuptial, in which God surrenders his divine being to his beloved creature. On the other hand, to one who lives of human will, it happens as to one who, degrading from the nobility of his family, takes an uncultured, clumsy, bad-mannered woman to wife. This man, little by little, will lose his noble and refined manners, and will assume rough and clumsy manners, such as to become unrecognizable. What a distance between those who live of divine will and those who live of human will. The first formed the celestial kingdom upon earth, enriched with goodness, with peace, with graces. They can be called the noble portion. The second formed the kingdom of revolutions, of discords, of vices. They have no peace and can give no peace. Fiat. October 30th, 1933. The divine will, guide of the soul, and the soul, gatherer of the works of her Creator. How one who lives in the divine will receives the transmission of what was first done in God and then communicated to her. I was doing my round in the creation, and it seemed to me that all created things wanted the great honor of being offered as homage and glory to their Creator. And I went from one thing to another, and I felt so rich, for I had many things to give to the one who loves me so much. And while he had done everything for me, I was able to give everything to God, to be able to say to him, I love you by means of your works, which are pregnant with your love, and teach me how to love you. But while I was doing this, my highest good, Jesus, surprising me, all goodness, told me, how beautiful it is to find our daughter in the midst of our works. We feel as if she wanted to compete with us. In order to love her, we created everything for her, and we gave her all things, that she might possess them, enjoy them, and they might be the narrators of our power and the bearers of our love. And therefore, she, in each created thing, feels our love that embraces her, that kisses her, and while molding her, says to her intensely and tenderly, I love you. She feels the squeezes of love to our divine bosom that we give her, and in the midst of so much love, she gets lost, confused, and in order to compete with us, she follows the same way that we covered in creating so many things in order to descend to her, and putting herself on the way in each created thing. She feels what we did for her and how we loved her, and she repeats for us what we did for her. She repeats for us our loving embraces, our ardent kisses, our ardors of love. And oh, our contentments in seeing that the creature ascends to us and brings us that which with so much love we gave her and give her. Our will acts as her guide and brings her unto us, that we may be given the requital of what we gave to her. So, one who lives in our will is the gatherer of all our works, and brings them onto our lap to say to us, I love you with your own love. I glorify you by means of your power. Everything you gave me, and everything I give to you. Then I continued my round in the divine will, and as I arrived at Eden, I thought to myself, oh, how I wish I had the love, the adoration of innocent Adam, so that I too might be able to love my God with the same love with which the first creature, created by him, loved him. And my sweet Jesus, surprising me, told me, my blessed daughter, one who lives in my divine will, finds in it whatever she wants. Because of all that is done in it, nothing goes out, but everything remains inside. together with it, inseparable from it. Even more, it forms its varied life. Therefore, of all that he did in my divine will, Adam could not take anything away with himself. At the most, the happy memory of how he had loved, of the seas of love that inundated him, of the pure joys he had enjoyed, and of everything he had done in our Fiat, which served to embitter him more. An act done in our will, a love, an adoration formed in it, is so great that the creature has no capacity nor a place where to put it. Therefore, only in my will can these acts be done and possessed. Hence, one who enters into it finds in act everything that innocent Adam did in it. His love, his tendernesses as son toward his celestial Father, the divine paternity that overshadowed his Son from all sides in order to love him. She makes everything her own, and she loves, adores, and repeats what innocent Adam did. My divine will does not change, nor does it mutate. As it was, so it is, and will be. As long as the creature enters into it and lives life together with it, it puts no limits, nor does it set boundaries, but rather it says, take whatever you want, love me however you want. In my Fiat, what is mine is yours. Only outside of it begin the divisions, the separations, the distances, and the life principle of yours and mine. Even more, you must know that everything that the creature must do in our will is first done in God, and she, in the act of doing it, receives the transmission of the divine love and acts into herself. And she continues to do what was done in our Supreme Being. How beautiful are these lives that receive the transmission of what was first done in us. They are our most beautiful works, the magnificences of creation. The heavens, the sun, remain behind them. They surpass all. They are the absolute sanctities established by us, which cannot escape us. We give her so much of our own as to drown her inside our goods, in such a way that she cannot find the void for thinking of whether she has to correspond or not, because the current of the divine light and love keep her besieged, and as though fused within her Creator. And we give her such knowledges of things as to serve her as free will, that she may do nothing by force, but of her own spontaneous and resolute will. Therefore, these celestial creatures are our occupation, our continuous work. We keep her constantly occupied, because our will cannot remain idle, because it is life, work, and perennial motion. So one who lives in it has always something to do, and always gives work for her Creator to do. Fiat. November 10th, 1933. How the divine will never changes its action or manner. What it does in heaven, it does on earth. Its act is universal and one. One who does not live of divine will reduces the divine maker to idleness and escapes from his creative hands. It seems that my poor mind can do nothing but think of the divine will. I feel a powerful force upon me, which gives me no time to think or want anything else other than that fiat which is everything for me. So I was thinking to myself, oh, how I wish to operate and live of divine will, just as they operate and live in heaven. And my sweet Jesus, surprising me with his short little visit, told me, my blessed daughter, in my celestial fatherland reigns the one and universal act. One is the will of all. Whatever one wills, the other wills as well. No one changes action or will. Each blessed feels my will as his own life. And because they all have one single will, it forms the substance of the happiness of the whole of heaven. More so, since my will knows not how to do, nor can it do, broken acts, but continuous and universal. And since in heaven it reigns with its full triumph, and with the totality of its dominion, all feel as their own nature its universal life, and are full up to the brim of all the goods it possesses. At the most, it might be in them according to the capacity of each one, and to the good they have done in life. But no one will be able to change either will or action or love. The power of my divine will keeps all the blessed absorbed, identified, fused within itself, as if all were one. But do you think that its universal act, and its life palpitating and communicative to each creature, extends only in heaven? No, no, what it does in heaven it does on earth. It changes neither action nor manner. Its universal act extends to each pilgrim soul, and one who lives in it feels its divine life, its sanctity, its uncreated heartbeat, which, while constituting itself life of the creature, keeps pouring into her with its incessant motion, without ever ceasing. And the happy creature who lets it reign feels it everywhere, inside and out. Its universal act keeps her surrounded from all sides, in such a way that she cannot go out of my will, and its continuous giving keeps her always occupied with receiving. So even if she wanted to, she has no time to do or think about anything else. Therefore the creature can say, and be convinced, that just as they live in heaven, so does she live on earth. There's only a difference of place, but one is the love, one is the will, one the action. But do you know who it is that does not feel the life of heaven in her soul, and does not feel the universal act, the one force of my will? One who does not let herself be dominated by it, giving it no freedom to reign. It is this soul that indeed changes action, love, and will at each moment. It is not my will that changes. It cannot change, but it is the creature that changes, because living of human will, she has no virtue nor capacity to receive the universal and single act of my will. And poor one, she feels mutable, without firmness in good. always like an empty reed that has no strength to withstand the slightest blow of the wind. Circumstances, encounters, creatures serve her as wind to flap her about, now doing one action, now another, now loving one thing, now another, and therefore she appears now sad, now joyful, now all fervor, and now all coldness, now inclined to virtues, now to passions. In some, as the circumstance ceases, so does the act cease in them. O human will, how weak, mutable, poor you are without my will, because you lack the life of good that should animate your will, and therefore the life of heaven is far away from you. My daughter, there is no greater disgrace, nor evil that deserves to be cried over more than doing one's own will. Then I continued to think, but why does God have so much interest that the divine will be done? And my always lovable Jesus added, my daughter, do you want to know why I have so much interest that my will be done? Because this was the purpose for which I created the creature, and by her not doing it, she destroys the purpose for which I created her. She takes away from me my rights, which, with all reason and divine wisdom, I hold over her, and she puts herself against me. Does it not appear grave to you that the children would put themselves against the Father? And besides, I created the creature so that she might be and form the raw material in my hands, so that I might delight in it and form from this matter my greatest works and my most beautiful handiworks that would serve me to adorn my celestial fatherland, and I might receive from them my greatest glory. Now this material of the creature escapes from my hands, puts itself against me, and so, in spite of all the materials I have formed, I cannot perform the works I established, and they reduce me to idleness. In fact, since my will is not in them, they are not fit for receiving my works. They become like hard stones, such that, as many blows as one may strike on them, they do not possess the softness to be able to receive the shape one wants to give them. They are shattered. They reduce themselves to dust under the blows. But it is not given to me to form the smallest object, and I remain like that poor artisan who, having formed for himself the most beautiful raw materials, gold, iron, stones, he goes about taking them in his hands in order to form the most beautiful statues, as he had established. And these materials are not fit. Even more, they put themselves against him, and he is not allowed to carry out his beautiful art. So the materials only serve to occupy space, but not to let him realize his great designs. And oh, how idleness weighs on this poor artisan. So I am. In fact, since my will is not present in them, they are incapable of receiving my works. There is no one who can render them soft, or anyone who can heat them up to receive my creative and operative virtue. And if you knew what it means to know how to do something, to be capable of doing it, to possess the materials in order to do it, without being able to do anything, you would cry with me from a sorrow so great, and from an affront so grave. Do you think it is trivial to see many creatures crowding the earth, and because the operating life of my will is missing in them, I am not allowed to display my art and to do what I want? Therefore, may you take to heart letting my divine will alone live in your soul, because it alone knows how to dispose souls to receive all the ability of my art. And in this way, you will not force your Jesus into idleness, but I will be the untiring worker to make of you what I want. Deo gratias, always and eternally. Fiat. You have reached the end of Volume 32. Fiat.